Seems like nothing since that net session where a few of the guys got hurt and Sean Marsh's tournament was ended. It seems like nothing's gone right for you guys. Do you kind of look at that as a bit of a turning point?
Unusually for Australian teams in World Cups, is we've played our worst cricket in the most critical moments, and I said right at the start of the tournament, you have to play your best cricket at the back end, and you have to stand up in the big moments. We won all the big moments in the first half of the tournament, and we've lost most of the big moments in the last couple of games. So I think that'll be the thing that'll be probably spoken about the most, and we'll talk about and discuss and see if there's any reason behind it, I guess.
Do you need to change anything about how you approach one-day cricket from how you have in this tournament?
Look, up until a week ago, we were probably the favourites to win the whole thing, and then we just haven't played our best. I think that's the game plan we had coming in, I think, stood up really well. Stood up, against England early doors, stood up against New Zealand, stood up in some of the big games early. It's just we let ourselves down in these last two games, I think. We let South Africa get away to too much of a flying start when they batted in that game, which has meant that we had to play England in this game here because we didn't win that game. So, no, look, I think we tactically got things right. Personnel-wise, we've obviously picked the best team that we thought for every game that we played, and unfortunately we've come up short in our last couple of games.
Looking at the final, England, New Zealand, who's your tip?
No, I think England will win. I said before the tournament started that I thought they'd be exceptionally hard to beat. I had them as the favourites coming in. Nothing changes for mine now. I mean, New Zealand have done an amazing job to get into the final, and well done to them. 2 consecutive World Cup finals is an awesome achievement from that group, and they'll have probably some experiences to take out of that last final as well. Or none of the England players have obviously played in a final before, but that being said, I think there's just a little bit too much class in this England side for them not to win.
Does that make your Ashes campaign even harder if that does happen, as you say? If they win it, does it make it the momentum of that win?
Yeah, it probably does. Yeah, to be honest, the country will be on a bit of a wave and a bit of a high. The players will certainly be on a huge high if they can win the World Cup. But who knows, if they don't, it might have an adverse effect on their Ashes campaign as well. So you can take lots of things from different sort of series. Obviously it's a completely different series going to an Ashes series, and there'll be quite a few different players probably in their Test team than will be in this one-day team. They'll have different captains and that as well. But I'm sure if they happen to win the World Cup, they'll take as much as they can from it going into the Ashes.
You look at England; they've got very dynamic batsmen and they've got all-round players. Is that something Australia need to look at, how they can produce those two types of players more?
Oh, look, I think if you look back through our history, we've probably, even in Test cricket for the last, certainly since I've been playing, we've been looking for those world-class all-rounders, and how important they can be. Someone like a Ben Stokes that can bowl you 8 or 10 overs and bat at 4 or 5 in your one-day team. Those guys are invaluable. England had Flintoff, South Africa had Callis. We had Shane Watson there for a long time. It just so happens, I think, with some of the England players. I mean, Moeen is one of their best spinners, so he plays as a spinner that can bat, and Stokes is probably one of their best batters that can play as a batter or bowler as well. So they pick themselves with the bat or with the ball, and I think that's always the good sign of an all-rounder is they've got to be able to get picked with their absolute strength.